Hey everybody, it's Mr. Marshall at Stony Lane, and I have a book for you today. This book is a biography, and so that means it's a book that somebody wrote about another person's life, a famous person's life. And so when we read a biography, we're reading it to learn about that person. Okay, we're reading to learn about that person and learn about his or her life and why that person was so important. Okay, so today's biography is called Justice Ketanji. Justice Ketanji. Justice Ketanji is about Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is one of the justices on the U.S. Supreme Court, which is a really important job. So whenever we start reading a biography, we try to think about, in the beginning of the book, we try to think, well, what was this person's childhood like? And we try to think about what kinds of challenges did this person have, right? So let's think about that when we read the beginning of this book. Ready? On a warm Florida afternoon, 4-year-old Ketanji Onika Brown was waiting for her father to come home from his classes. When he took out his law books to study, Ketanji took out her coloring books. Ketanji's parents, grandparents, and their parents before them all worked hard to make a good life for their family. Her parents had both been public school teachers. But Ketanji's father, Johnny, wanted to do more. He decided to become a lawyer, while Ketanji's mother, Ellery, continued to teach. Her father became a student again. So he studied and he read, and Ketanji watched and listened. "You can do anything," he said. "You can be anything," he told his bright-eyed brown daughter. And she remembered. So if we're thinking about what kind of childhood Ketanji Brown had, we can think that she comes from a family where the adults believed in her, right? Isn't that great? Hardworking adults that believed in her. Let's keep going. Soon words were part of Ketanji's world too. She loved reading them. She loved writing them. Most of all, she loved speaking them. When she started Miami Palmetto High School, she joined the speech and debate team and found friends who also loved words. Ketanji's sharp thinking and crisp, clear voice helped the team win many competitions. Her sure way of speaking stood out so much that her classmates voted her to be class president. Isn't that great? So all these people in her family believed in her, and she worked hard because of that. And so she made some significant achievements. She got places. She did things. She was successful. Let's see if that continues. Ketanji always knew that she would attend college after high school, and she aimed for one of the best, Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Her school counselor told her, "You shouldn't set your sights so high. You shouldn't set your sights so high." Wait a minute. Her parents, were saying, you can be anything, you can do anything. But her school counselor said, no? That's strange. That sounds like it's a problem for her. It sounds like it's a challenge for her. But Ketanji remembered, you can do anything. She worked hard, she applied to Harvard, and she was accepted. They took her. But that's strange, isn't it? That the people in her family would believe in her, but the people outside her family didn't really believe in her. And so now we're getting to the middle of the book. And in the middle of the book, we try to think, what kind of problems did this person have and how did she overcome them? We try to think about what important thing did she do that somebody would write a book about her. Okay? So at Harvard, Ketanji began to meet new people. Her roommates became her friends, and as time passed, she began to call those friends her sisters. But once again, some people made her feel like she didn't belong. Wait a second, once again, there were people that weren't supportive of her. So she's got people in her family that support her, that tell her she can be anything, she can do anything. She's got people outside her family that are saying the opposite. They wouldn't support her. They made her feel like she didn't belong. She spoke out and proved that she did belong by attending protests and keeping up with her classmates at the same time. Ketanji Brown Jackson practiced many types of... Sorry, I think I skipped a page. Brilliant, bright-eyed Ketanji Brown graduated from Harvard with special honors, and 1 year later, she had set her mind to work again and followed her father's footsteps to attend Harvard Law School. She wanted to become a lawyer. The year she completed Harvard Law School, she married Patrick Graves Jackson. There they are. Isn't that nice? Then she began to set her sights even higher on jobs at top law firms. You can be anything, she believed. She entered a new world full of more challenges and surprises. So it sounds like not everyone believed in her, right? But she remembered the things that her parents had said, that she can be anything, and she became a lawyer. Isn't that awesome? Ketanji Brown Jackson practiced many types of law. She joined law firms, both big and small. She worked as a clerk to 3 different judges, including Justice Stephen Breyer of the U.S. Supreme Court. She defended poor people in court. So that sounds like some of the important things that she's doing, right? She helped one of the justices at the U.S. Supreme Court, and she defended poor people, right? So important, so important. Let's keep going and see if she continues that, okay? And let's think about how the words that her parents said to her when she was little have made her so successful, okay? Let's see if that continues happening. While working and having a family, she thought about the women who made her feel strong, like her mother, her aunt, her grandmother. She thought about another woman who inspired her, the trailblazer Constance Baker Motley. Motley was the first Black woman to become a U.S. district judge. U.S. district judges look at facts and laws to solve disagreements about who's right in a legal case. So she was thinking about all those famous people, right? One of the things I guess that was a problem for her was because she was African American. And maybe that's why some people didn't believe in her, right? After 17 years in law, Ketanji was nominated to become a U.S. district judge herself. A group of U.S. senators had to question her first. At breaks during their meetings, Ketanji used her knitting to keep calm. By then, she was known and respected for her words and her sharp thinking about the law, and the senators voted her in. More success, right? She believed she could do anything. Years later, President Joe Biden decided that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson had the skills and experience to serve on the highest court in the country, the United States Supreme Court. He nominated her to replace retiring Justice Stephen Breyer. Again, Judge Jackson faced 4 days of meetings with senators. They asked her about everything from her time at Harvard to her past jobs to her feelings about various laws. Though many supported her, some just didn't think she belonged. Ketanji didn't protest. She knew how hard she'd worked and how much she'd learned in her career. So once again, she's successful, right? She believed that she could be anything because that's what her parents taught her, right? She didn't need to knit scarves to answer with calmness and grace. Behind her each day sat her parents, Johnny and Ellery, her brother Ketanji, her husband Patrick, her daughters Talia and Layla, and her sister friends. And in her mind were her grandparents and their parents before them. So that must have been really helpful for her. All those people she loved came and reminded her, right there in that really hard moment, that they believed in her by being there. Okay? Let's see what happens. Finally, in a vote of 53 to 47, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson was confirmed as the 116th United States Supreme Court Justice. She became the first Black woman to sit on the court in its 232-year history. Wow, that's really important. So, of the 116 people that had been U.S. Supreme Court justices, she was the first one that was a Black woman. Wow, that's so important. So now it's the end of the book. And so now what we want to do is we want to think about, well, what important thing is this person's legacy? What's the thing that they're always going to remember her for? Okay? So let's finish and let's read this. Let's read this and let's finish the book up. Okay? She remembered, she believed, she knew. You can do anything. You can be anything. And that is the end. And that's a picture of her for real. So I'm thinking like that her legacy, the thing that people will always remember her for, is that she was the first Black woman on the U.S. Supreme Court. But I think what's really important for us to remember also is that she remembered that she can do anything and she can be anything. And if you believe that and you work hard because of it, then it's going to be true, right? So important. So important. So why don't you think about all the things we did in reading this biography and think about how you can use that in any biography that you're reading. And maybe also you can be inspired by the example of Ketanji Brown Jackson because she's done some amazing things. Okay? And I'll see you next time.